Welcome. We have just a minute or so before we get started at 6 p.m. tonight. This should be a fairly quick review. We'll do some high level stuff and then we'll place this recording on our website. So that's available for students to view. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat and we'll go ahead and answer those at the end of the presentation. Okay, well, it is 6 o'clock, so we're going to get started. I want to welcome everybody for attending today. Tonight, I'm going to show you a little bit about our scholarship platform. I'm Nia Nielsen. I'm Director of Marketing here at the Foundation for Lincoln Public Schools. Just a little bit of background about the Foundation for Lincoln Public Schools. We've been around for over 30 years, and we started offering scholarships in 1991. We started with 4 scholarships. Today, as of last year, we've awarded $155,000 in 2021 to over 80 recipients. 80 students. So today we are going to cover what you see on the screen here, just a basic timeline about the application, how you log on, getting started, some tips that we have, how to actually do the final submit, what our selection and notification process looks like, and then just giving you some tools for where to go if you have questions. And then we'll end this up with your questions and answer them. Okay, to get started here, if you have questions along the way, just feel free to drop those into the chat and we'll answer those at the end. The timeline. Okay, so scholarships open December 6th. So you can already get onto the platform. I know some people already have. We have about, I want to say 77 applicants at last checking. They close on Valentine's Day. That's a Monday. They will close at noon. We use a system and it is set up so it will close at right at 12 p.m. And so there is no way that we can submit on your behalf afterwards. So just make sure that you're very aware of that deadline. Then we move into the selection period, and that happens in March and April. And then notification period happens in April and May. And all of those individuals will be notified. We'll notify you either way, but it will happen before the awards banquet at your school. So a little bit about the application. We use Community Force, and it's an online scholarship platform. And what's really cool about it is that it's a one-to-many application. So that means that as a student, you can fill out your information once, and depending on the criteria for the scholarships, you will qualify for more than one scholarship. So you're filling out one application, but you will be entered into as many scholarships as you qualify for. So that is the one-to-many application. And you can get there by going to foundationforlps.org/scholarships. And then we're going to go, once you get there, I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll go through logging on. So I'm going to click over here really quick and open up that. You're going to land on the screen here, and it's going to give you a little bit of information about the foundation and how many students we've helped last year, a little bit about the timing of our scholarships. And then this link here is the really important one. This one's going to take you into the directions for applying for the scholarship. So once you get into it, it has the most important things are bulleted up here for you to look at. And then down here, the resources. So I want you to note the scholarship handbook is right here, it has a lot of great information in it. Highly recommend you read through that carefully before you start the process. And then there's this red apply now button. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that so we can take a look. So it pre-populates my stuff here, my information, and I'm going to show you as a test user here what it looks like. If you haven't started haven't started with Community Force, they're going to ask you to create a login, a profile. And so when you're doing this, one of the most important things to do, and I'll probably say this a couple more times, is that as a student, you need to use your personal email, not the one that's provided by your school, because when you apply for a scholarship, we need to be able to notify recipients after graduation to be able to help them get their money and whatnot. And so if you are using your school email address, that will no longer work after graduation. So that is why we really, we put it on here that we want you to use your personal email so we can get a hold of you with really important information if you've received a scholarship. Once you get in here, if you've already logged in, I should probably note, if you've already logged in and created a profile and you did it with your LPS email address or some other school, because this is open to other students beyond just LPS. There's some all Lancaster County scholarships that people can apply for. You can go in and you can edit your personal profile and change out that email at any time if you have already done it and signed up with your school email. So one of the great things about Community Force and having a one-to-many application is that by creating this login, you can come back and you can fill out this the scholarship application in multiple settings. So you don't have to necessarily say, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sign up today and I have to have a long period of time to be able to complete it all, because you can come back. You just save your work and then sign in again when you're ready to complete the next part of it. So we're gonna go ahead and log in. When you get here, this is what it's going to look like for all students. I'm going to roll up so you can see from the top here. You have search and my applications. When you first get here, you might be tempted to kind of click in and check out all these links. These are all the scholarships down below that we offer this year. But I would caution you against clicking into those things and just get started on this application here, where right by the it's the 2022 Scholarship Foundation for LPS. And then it will have a start application button here. I've already obviously been in here a couple of times. All of this information below on the scholarships is listed in your handbook, and it's nicely laid out. So you can go in, and when you're looking at your handbook, you can, there's a table of contents for you, and you can check by school, and then it has all the criteria listed. So highly recommend just going that way and starting off right off the bat with clicking into the scholarship for foundation, because this is the main application that everything's going to go off of. So go ahead and click into that. And then this is what it looks like on the inside here. It always has that deadline there. Just some important information for going through. I want to highlight this: save your work often. It doesn't automatically save like your Google Sheets would do, or your Google Doc, your Word doc would do. So at the end of each page, there's a save and exit, or save and move to a dashboard. So you can, I just highly recommend that you use that functionality, because we know that when you're filling out this application, we don't want you to have to go to the work of redoing it if you happen to time out, or your computer crashes or something like that. Just save often. Okay, next up for you. So when you get started, you're going to see it, you're going to start out with these different sections down here. And not all of them will appear when you start. They'll add to it, but the first ones that will pop up for you are personal information, financial information, and academic information. And I believe also your request one is already up there too, and perhaps transcript. Here are some, we're going to move on to the helpful tips for you. The letter of recommendation. Now that's this request one here, and we'll click into it. This is one of the easiest pieces to do on your application. So I highly recommend doing this one, either first or second. You can fill out your information about yourself and then maybe go to this piece. But what this part of the system allows us to do is to send out an email on your behalf to the individuals that you're requesting a recommendation from. And you're going to need 2 of those. We highly recommend that before you send this email out, that you talk to that teacher or that individual who you're asking for a recommendation to get their okay before you send it, and that they feel comfortable giving you a letter of recommendation. And so essentially you have those 2 recommendations. This is going to, once you populate it with the information in there, it's going to send them an email. And so that email, it comes from admin@communityforce.com. So you can tell the people that you're requesting a reference from to look for that email. And if they're not seeing it, to check their spam, because sometimes it does, the spam filter does catch that. So we just want to let students know that that might be a possibility if their teacher or whoever they're requesting for the reference isn't receiving it. If you are having problems with it, you can always go in and then you can resend it here by going to this. And then you just click back to the dashboard after you have those. What that's going to do is it's going to send an email to that teacher or the reference, and they're going to fill out some information, and then it will connect to your application for you. A tip here is that you cannot submit your application, your final scholarship application, unless you have those 2 references down. So it's really important that you get those done right away, because teachers will get a lot of requests for references and that letter of recommendation. And so we just highly recommend you get it done faster, sooner rather than later. So you're not waiting for them at the last minute, because you can't hit submit. You can't hit this final review and submit portion here until you've received those references. So let them know that you want them, if possible, completed as soon as possible. So you're not waiting to the last minute to submit. Because like I said, we can't submit after that noon deadline on the 14th. Okay, some other things I wanted to tell you about here is moving into the transcript transcript area. So let's see. So that's going to be in here, and it's just a matter, this one's a really easy one to get completed. Your transcript, you just upload. And you can get that. I have that in the slide deck. There's a link there that you can request, and you can also just go to lps.org, and you can type in the search box, request transcript, and it has a form that you can request that. So they'll give that to you. So you can do that you could be doing that right now. And it's an easy box to get checked off. I do want to note though, it needs to have your latest information on it. So I'm looking at my notes here, and it is also on the slide deck. That transcript piece, they won't have it done until LPS doesn't have those complete until January. So after January 11th, they'll have those ready to go for you. So that is one piece that you will have to, easy to do, but just something to be marking down on your notes. The other thing I want to point out is in your financial information. This one only has one thing that you have to fill out too in this required section. And it's just, you're going to add in a number here, and it's any number over, it's going to, let's see, it's it's the number that FAFSA provides to you. And I've also included that in the slide deck for you. If you roll over, it has this I here. It has all the information about it. It's found on your student aid report. It's the number that you get. And I believe that you could, after October, you can do your FAFSA at any time, and they'll provide you that number. And then you just, once you add that in, then you just save that and return. So you'll notice that these sections here, once we have the information in there, they turn to 100%. Before you can complete this whole application and do your final review and submit, all of these sections have to be at 100%. I'm going to pop into personal information just so you guys can take a look at it. It's super easy, basic information. So these are the sections that you're like, okay, these are not hard, and they can be done fairly quickly after you have all the materials you need. So we're asking you to upload a photo, and this is for in case you are a recipient of a scholarship. What we do is we run an ad congratulating scholarship recipients in late May, June, to honor people who have won, and as well as the donors who've given money to have these scholarships. So we ask you to upload your class photo here, your senior picture, and then just your basic personal information is in here. And this is all the criteria that you can put in there that it allows us to sort stuff on the back end and let you know which ones you qualify for. So this is one of the components that helps us put the right scholarship in front of you. So let's go ahead and save and return to dashboard here. The other thing that I want to point out is that once you start your academic information here, I'm going to click on that. This is asking all the information about what school you attended, graduation stuff, your weighted GPA, ACT score, that kind of information that what you're planning on doing in the future. That stuff goes right here. Once you have that, it will serve up a couple of sections for you. So you'll have your essay section here, and then you'll have the scholarships that you qualify for all schools that you need to answer questions for, and then your individual school. So for this example, I just had North Star as my school, and then you can go in here and it's going to give you a bunch of questions that you can just toggle back and forth, the yes, no answers to it. And what that does, it serves up if you answer yes to something and there's a scholarship tied to it, then you're going to get put into that bucket for that scholarship. And some of them might have an essay with it. So that's where you see when have I worked through adversity in my life. If I hit yes for it, then this scholarship essay question pops up, and then you can just type in it, and then you have it basically like a Word document. It has all of those information in there, and then you can hit save and return to dashboard with that. So you can look at those, and then the same thing goes with the all school scholarships. That will be there. It will give you a bunch of, are you a teammates? Yes or no. So all of your scholarship answers will pull into that scholarship on the back end here. So while there might be a lot of questions for you, they're really easy questions to answer, the yes, no ones, to get started with that. I'm going to save and return there. And then I want to talk to you just a little bit about the essays. Now you saw some of those question boxes in there. They're considered an essay as well, but these are these are the questions the essays that everyone's required to fill out. And what we recommend, there's these 4 here, plus the ones that you'll get based on your answers to the school information and the scholarship information for all schools. And what we recommend is just copying and pasting the questions into a Word document or a Google Sheet, and then just writing them out there and and then copying and pasting them back in here. And there's a couple of reasons why we suggest doing that. One, it allows you a place to work separately from your application. And then you might run into, depending on how you answer questions and whatnot, a couple of essays that sound very similar. And we recommend that you reuse and tweak. And all the selection committee people are on the back end reading these, your applications later on. They know that that there are some very similar questions. So they're expecting to see some of the repeat answers or some that are like fairly similar with some tweaks to it. So feel free to get those basic ones done and then just pull them back over, copy and paste them back into this, and then hit save and return to dashboard after you've got those complete. Okay, I'm going to switch over back to our slide deck here. We talked about the getting started, the different sections here. The helpful tips are in here as well. So all of the scholarship listings being in the handbook. It also has great stuff like how to make your application stand out. So we highly recommend reading that. And then it's going to have all the documents that you'll need to apply. We talked about letters of recommendation. It is very helpful if you are asking a teacher to write or a community member, whomever you're asking for those recommendations, to provide them a basic resume that you've completed that just talks about where you've worked, what are your volunteer experiences, what kind of sports and clubs have you participated in. It just helps them frame the letter a little bit better and is just a best practice. We talked about transcripts. The link is right there. They're available after the 11th, and then financial aid. The form is right here on this link if you haven't done it already. The writing essays, like I said, it's helpful to create a Google Sheet or excuse me, Google Doc or a Word doc, and then just writing all those questions, sitting down, writing those, and then populating Community Force with them. Submitting the application. So to catch us up here, every section has to be 100% complete. So that bar down below is going to be all the way to the right side, and it's going to say 100%. And you have to have your letters of recommendation before you can ever do a final submit. And then that date that you need to keep in mind is February 14th. And that's right before that'll close at noon. So you have up to 11:59 to submit. The next piece here is selection and notification. So once you've completed your application, it goes through a selection process. And so we have a couple of different scholarships or scholarship recipients are selected a couple of different ways. So depending on how the scholarship was formed and what the original donor's intent was, depends on what selection committee it goes through. So some of it goes through high school guidance counselors. Some of it goes through athletics at your school. Some of it goes through the donor family members. And then also we have a selection committee here at the foundation that we work with volunteers here in town that want to help us out, and they review these scholarships, and all of those individuals are signing a conflict of interest form. So very above board, making sure that these are done and selected based on the criteria that has been laid out in the scholarship fund agreement. Okay, also before I switch over here, the notification process, the reason why we want your personal email is because once we have made decisions, we'll email you either way. And that happens usually end of April, May. We'll let you know before any kind of banquet that you have going on at your school. If there's a celebration of scholarships, we'll let you know before then. And then we'll also, if you are receiving the scholarship, we'll give you all the details on how you accept that scholarship. the pieces that you need to have in place to get the money for that scholarship when you go to school the next fall. And then also how to thank donors. So we give you tools and tips on how to do that, so we can thank the donors that have provided the money for the scholarship for you. Next step, where to go for help. So if you have questions, we highly recommend checking out that handbook. It is very detailed. If you've checked it out already, I want to say 100+ pages. And that has not, the first chunk is what you need for how to apply. The rest are just criteria for the scholarships. The second place is Community Force. And I want to go ahead and I'm just gonna, let me see if I can pop back over here. I will show you at the end here. So Community Force has a help section, and we will, I'll circle back to that. The other place is you can email us, scholarships@foundationforlps.org. Just take a screenshot of where you're having an issue, or just type out what you're running into and send it to that email address. And we will, we have a group of us that are on it. If you have any questions at all, we can, we'll find an answer for you there. Let's see. So now comes the question and answer portion. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop those into the chat function. I do want to show you one other thing. Like I said, we're back on Community Force here, and that the help is right here. So you can click on that. It will open a new window. And then it's got some places where you can search for the answer or ask for help. So that is another tool available to you. So let's see. Do we have any questions? All right. I am hearing none. I'm seeing none. If you happen to have any that you think of later on, like I said, feel free to send us an email at scholarships@foundationforlps.org. We are always available to help, and good luck.